So basically talking about my picking.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So we're rolling.
So here's a few features of my picking style. So what I do, this is my hand position on guitar, like 99% of the time. And most of the time I keep my pinky here as a rest on the body of guitar. And side palm of my right hand, I always keep on the bridge at the place where strings breaks on the saddle. And that's because I like to use palm muting a lot. I'm a really heavy user of palm muting. So if I'm not going to use palm muting, my right hand is going to be just slightly, lifted from guitar. So if I want to use palm muting, I'm just going to put it gently here and do it that way. Other features is things I don't do. Again, this is just my way of picking. Some people do, and it works for them pretty well. So I don't do any of the motions flicking the thumb or index finger. So some call it so-called snap picking. Some people, when they play something transition from string to string, they do this kind of motion with their thumb and index. I cannot do it. I tried it. I keep my thumb and my index finger locked all the time onto the pick without any movement in the joint of my fingers. So basically whatever I pick, including the sweep picking, where I also don't do, wrist rotations. I don't do this when going descending on the, for example, sweep picking arpeggios. I just, do everything same way. As you can see. So basically what I do, I play the ascending way with this part of the pick, right? And descending way, I'm actually picking with this part of the pick. If you're using wrist rotation, it's possible that you're going to play both ascending and descending way with the same part of the pick, right? So most of the time I'm picking from my wrist. But if I really need more power of aggression, I will probably, pick a little bit more from the elbows, like. Just to get a little bit more, more a pick attack and stuff. But most of the time from the wrist, because always trying to maintain that economy of motion, to basically not engage too much, because picking from my elbow, I'm gonna get tired much more quickly than picking from my wrist. So only time I'm actually gonna change my right hand position from this is gonna be when I reach for some hybrid picking, because it's impossible for me to do it this way. So that's the only time when I'm going to actually rotate my hand a little bit like this, so I can have this middle finger free to do. I'm trying to pick most of my stuff with, smaller movements from the right hand. Because anyway, the more you speed up, you have to reduce your motion in order to be able to play fast. So, it's not gonna work, to have too much radius, between down, up. I mean, it's just impossible, to get any speed. Again, we are talking about economy of motion. Now, one thing that's good thing to do when you're practicing to really pick hard, so just play some. And the reason for that is you need to develop the stamina and strength in your right hand, because inevitably when you start speeding things up, you will not have as much strength as possible your stroke, your picking stroke are gonna be softer and softer because it's impossible in that fast tempo to maintain, that kind of strength. And in that way, maybe you will, as I was talking before, you will maybe put your elbow to work to get more of that basically momentum, something like. I mean, it's not only about speed. Speed is just a tool. Speed is just one of means to express yourself. I'm not playing. Anybody who are listening some of my stuff know that I'm not playing fast all the time. But I mean, it's good to have great technique, and it's a lot of fun to play fast. I mean, you have to admit. So, obviously I was drawn to it by listening, guys that were my biggest influences like Eddie Van Halen, Yngwie Malmsteen, Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, Steve Morse, Vinnie Moore, Greg Howe, I mean, Paul Gilbert, there's so many of them. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun. Basically, you are developing your technique, and again, it's just a mean for expression. So it's not speed for the sake of speed. It's for the sake of music. Foundation, intermediate, advanced can be so broad. There's different people like on foundation level, different people of intermediate, different on advanced. But I think that everybody can find anything in any of these courses to work on it and to develop it, because the topic is speed. And only thing I can say, sometimes difference between if we are talking about speed, sometimes difference between foundation and advanced is only going to be in basically tempo that you're performing certain pattern or lick. That way, I mean, even if you are advanced level, maybe amongst my patterns you will find some that you miss, that you like, and that you can develop, with your already advanced speed. And vice versa, if you're a beginner, some patterns from intermediate or advanced, you can just play them slowly until you reach that, higher level. So yeah, I guess, but that main categorization stays. Obviously, the patterns, the licks, everything is a little bit easier at foundation level, then progressively goes a little bit more complex at the intermediate and more complex at advanced. So I'm sure everybody is gonna find, something that suits them.